Next on CBS News 8 at 5, exclusive video you'll see only here of murder suspect Jeremy Green crossing the border into police custody.
A construction crew accidentally ruptures a water main, creating a big mess downtown.
And a huge setback tonight for President Obama's trade agenda. CBS News 8 at 5 starts right now.
You're watching San Diego's breaking news leader. This is CBS News 8 at 5.
Scripps Ranch murder suspect Jeremy Green turns himself in after crossing into the U.S. from Mexico, and a CBS News 8 camera is the only one to capture it. Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Barbara Lee Edwards.
I'm Carlo Cicchetto. 6 days after Tressa Green was shot to death in a Scripps Ranch business park, her husband is locked up in the downtown jail.
The search for Jeremy Green turned into an international manhunt. Surveillance video was just obtained by CBS News 8 showing Green walking into Mexico just an hour after the shooting.
We have team coverage. Our Steve Price will have more of that video shortly, but we begin with Green's arrest. And CBS News 8's Kelly Hessedall live downtown with more of our exclusive video. Kelly?
Well, Carlo and Barbara Lee, Jeremy Green was booked into the San Diego County Jail just before 4 a.m. this morning. It was on a first-degree murder charge, and according to police, they have been talking with Green since Monday. This morning, he surrendered.
We had a very violent person on the loose, and now he's in custody.
Wearing a red shirt, handcuffed and escorted by authorities, 40-year-old Jeremy Green turns himself in around 1 a.m. Friday at the San Ysidro border crossing. In this exclusive video by CBS News 8 photojournalist Karen Kelly, the man who spent nearly a week as a fugitive stares straight ahead as officers pat him down.
Since Monday, we've been in contact with Mr. Green. We tracked him to Cancun, Mexico.
San Diego police say they had several conversations with Green, who was hiding out more than 2,700 miles away in Cancun.
He wanted to surrender. He was just wanted to do it on his terms and surrender to U.S. authorities.
Investigators wouldn't reveal how they tracked him there, but this morning they did reveal Green got on a plane alone and flew to Tijuana unescorted.
He met authorities here in Tijuana, and then we met Mexican authorities there. And then he was brought to us where we took custody of him.
The 5'8", 170-pound suspect is accused of shooting his wife, Tressa, in the Scripps Ranch parking lot Saturday.
We got multiple gunshot wounds on the victim. We need to expedite medics now.
Tressa had just recently filed for divorce, and the couple had just finished a marriage counseling session. A gun registered to Green was found last weekend near San Clemente Canyon. His Corvette located in a San Ysidro parking lot Tuesday, the day after police say they'd first been in touch with Green by phone.
Our conversation was solely with him and his wishes to surrender. That was done. But, you know, any time that somebody murders somebody in the city of San Diego, that's a very, very serious case, and we will do everything we can to bring that person to justice.
And we are told Green does have an attorney. He is scheduled to be arraigned on Monday. He is currently being held without bail. Now, coming up new at 6:30 tonight. Now, police wouldn't comment any further on their conversations with Green, but they did reveal what it's been like dealing with him throughout this entire process. We'll tell you about that all new at 6:30. We'll send it back to you.
All right, we'll see you then. Thanks, Kelly. A new surveillance video gives a clear picture of what happened after Green parked his car at the border.
You can see him crossing into Mexico just an hour after the shooting. CBS News 8's Steve Price joins us now with an exclusive look. Steve?
Well, Barbara and Carlo, we just showed you this video of Jeremy Green being brought back across the border from Mexico in handcuffs. Well, now we want to show you this video we have of him originally crossing into Mexico to start this. New surveillance video shows accused killer Jeremy Green just minutes before he crossed into Mexico. These pictures, obtained exclusively by CBS News 8, were captured Saturday afternoon, about an hour after his wife Tressa was shot and killed in Scripps Ranch. Earlier this week, we showed you this video of Green driving his silver Corvette into a San Ysidro parking lot. He pays the attendant with a wad of cash, and you'll notice he's wearing a blue shirt with stripes. Green then parks his car, walks to the back of it, and changes his shirt into that black T-shirt and puts on that black baseball cap. Then he walks out of the parking lot. The new video we obtained picks up the story from there. It shows Green walking behind some businesses and across a series of parking spaces in the rear of the building. Eventually, you see him start to head down a ramp toward a duty-free shop that's right next to the pedestrian crossing into Mexico. Inside that shop, Green buys a bottle of water, and here's his receipt showing that he bought it at 3:09 p.m. on Saturday, June 6th. Cameras pick Green up again seconds after leaving the store. He takes several sips from the bottle as he keeps on walking down the street. When Green gets to this spot, he disappears from our surveillance video, but sources tell us that there is other video that shows him walking into this McDonald's over here. What he does inside isn't clear. Did he buy some food? Did he simply use the restroom? We don't know, but about a minute and a half later, he shows up again on surveillance video. It looks like Green is still holding his water as he makes the short walk to the border crossing. We spotted at least 7 government-controlled surveillance cameras monitoring the last path to the pedestrian crossing, so investigators surely knew from the beginning that he had walked across the border. To enter Mexico, you don't have to go through security, just a turnstile gate that allowed Green to make his getaway. And by the way, it is no surprise to authorities that Green went to a popular vacation destination. Remember, he worked for a timeshare company that has a resort in that general area. Carlo?
Thanks, Steve. The question now is whether Green will face the death penalty. Coming up new at 5:30, a former district attorney weighs in on what prosecutors would need to send him to death row, and if heading to Mexico could have helped Green avoid the death penalty.
A water main break sent a wash of water and mud all over downtown in a street today. Officials say a construction crew accidentally cut the line at about 10 o'clock this morning. It happened at First Avenue and West F Street. CBS News 8's Richard Allen joins us live from downtown inside Athens Market with a look at that big mess. Richard?
And what a mess, Barbara Lee. Now, they tell us that there was supposed to be a banquet held in this dining room here at Athens Market this evening. Of course, that banquet has been canceled. Now, the owner, Mary Pappas, told us that at around 10:30 this morning, that water started flooding through underneath here. It turned this room basically into a lake, water coming up to yay high. Now, what is amazing, though, is so many hours later, 6-7 hours later, the room is pretty much cleaned up. We have dehumidifiers doing the rest of the job. Now, as you said, it was a contracting crew that may be responsible for this. That's still under investigation. But what is not a mystery is the damage this left behind.
There's nothing we can do about it.
For Mary Pappas, owner of Athens Market, Friday morning's water main break spurred her staff into action.
Get some brooms and come out here. There's water coming into the restaurant.
Coming in and heading down into the restaurant's basement.
Extra glasses, extra drinks, extra silverware, tables, just a big papers. All my papers are destroyed.
This massive break sending thousands of gallons of water rushing through the streets and into area businesses. It occurred shortly after 10 a.m. while a contracting crew was working to replace a section of water lines.
Within the last year, this entire street's a brand new pipe.
The muddy, mucky floodwaters filling First Avenue and F Street, forcing these roads to be shut down, and also force businesses like this nail salon to do the same.
Really, really bad, because no business at all.
Matthew Zaker, manager of Area Cleaners, managed to get some of his customers' most valuable threads out of harm's way.
This is our responsibility to, try to take care of our customers' garment.
Zaker said Friday is usually his busiest day. Potential profits now down the drain.
So we had to stop everything besides by this mess. I don't know what to do. Today, completely, I guess we lose the business.
But some victims of this massive mess tried not to lose their sense of perspective.
It is what it is. We'll live with it.
And back out live, you can see fans like this inside Athens Market doing the work now, trying to dry the room out, trying to dry the entire restaurant out. All businesses facing a similar situation right now. Now, coming up new at 6:30, we'll look into who will pay for all this, who may be financially liable for this damage, and for all this lost business. That's coming up new at 6:30. Barbara Lee?
All right, Richard, thanks. Now, according to the city water department, the 16-inch concrete main was most likely installed sometime before the 1970s.
An aide to former congressional candidate Carl DeMaio pleads guilty today to obstruction of justice. Todd Bosnich appeared in federal court to make the plea. He admits to fabricating a threatening email that appeared to be sent by DeMaio's campaign and then lied about it to the FBI.
He claimed that this email was anonymous, that he did not know the source of the email, when in fact he had sent the email to himself.
Bosnich had told investigators the threat was in response to sexual harassment allegations he made against DeMaio. Today, DeMaio released a statement calling the lies, quote, incredibly painful. Sentencing is set for August 31st. Bosnich faces a maximum of 20 years in prison.
A man suspected of shooting at an Oceanside Target employee is under arrest tonight. Dennis Lamb was detained in Orange County after leading officials on a chase in a stolen car. Police say the 28-year-old opened fire inside the Target store on South El Camino Real yesterday afternoon when a security guard tried to question him about a suspected shoplifting attempt. Police have also arrested Anna Molina, who they say was with Lamb at the time of the shooting.
More than 150 San Diego students laced up their sneakers today for a race inspired by Chelsea King.
A local teacher and an athlete co-founded the Chelsea King Invitational Mile to honor the Poway High School student who was abducted and killed in 2010. Chelsea's former coach attended today's run and spoke to us about what he hopes the children will take away from this event.
You get your best out of the competition you face. If you face it in a positive way, they're going to push you to the limit, and you do that in practice every day, and she was there to help every one of her teammates every day in practice. And that's what I would hope these kids would get out of it.
All participating students at today's 6th annual Chelsea King Invitational Mile qualified to participate in the race based on mile times recorded at their individual schools. Let's check traffic now. Deb Hankey has the very latest on this Friday. Deb?
Hey there, Barbara Lee. Yeah, and the low clouds sadly have us on the ground, but keeping an eye on traffic nonetheless, and it is very busy around the county. We're going to start off, though, showing you an area that's not too bad. That's taking a look at I-5 here near Laurel. In and out of downtown through this stretch is a pretty good drive, but we'll move to our maps. You can see a lot of red, especially on the 805, the southbound side of the 805. An accident happened about 45 minutes ago near the 15. That crash involved a big rig, several other vehicles. The middle lanes have been blocked for a time, so some big backup behind that. South 5 a better choice, but it's definitely going to be slow through the Golden Triangle. And now we're hearing about an accident South 163 around Robinson, so that crash on the right shoulder, but definitely busy on the 163. North County is a mess, the I-5 commute. We'll give you an update on that coming up in just a few minutes, but for now we'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Deb. The subject of this week's CBS News 8 crime fighters manhunt is in custody.
We'll have details when we return. Also tonight, he stands 7 feet tall, played 17 years in the NBA, and now he's available to coach your kids.
The manhunt for 2 convicted killers intensifies just miles outside of the prison. I'm Hannah Daniels in Dannemora, New York. I'll have the latest coming up.
Those low clouds outside today stubborn as far as any sunshine is concerned. What does it mean for your weekend? Your 8-day microclimate forecast is on the way.
A wanted fugitive featured in last night's CBS News 8 crime fighters manhunt story is behind bars tonight. Authorities received the tip just hours after the story ran on CBS News 8, and Kevin Holder was arrested today. He was wanted for failing to register as a sex offender. Holder's criminal history includes burglary, possession of stolen property, and multiple counts of sexual battery. Crime Stoppers offers rewards for tips that lead to an arrest. An employee at an upstate New York prison has been arrested on charges she helped 2 convicted murderers escape.
The inmates have been on the run for 7 days, but authorities may be closing in on them. Hannah Daniels has the latest on the manhunt.
New York State Police have arrested Joyce Mitchell, a Clinton Correctional Facility employee accused of helping convicts David Sweat and Richard Matt escape.
She's been charged with promoting prison contraband, 1st degree, a Class D felony, and criminal facilitation, 4th degree, a Class A misdemeanor.
Police officers swarmed an area a few miles south of the prison Friday, hoping to close in on the fugitives.
We're coming for you, and we will not stop until you are caught.
Sources tell CBS News investigators are checking year-round homes and looking in mailboxes to make sure mail isn't piling up, indicating a problem inside the home.
Investigators are reviewing surveillance video from this gas station, where police found 2 sets of footprints and dogs picked up a scent. The manhunt is about to enter its second week. Hannah Daniels for CBS News, Dannemora, New York.
Sources say Mitchell was supposed to drive the getaway car but never showed up. Prosecutors say she will likely face charges. Some bad news for the farmers in the Delta. They will soon face historic water cuts. Today, the state announced senior water rights holders will be told to stop pumping from the Sacramento, San Joaquin, and Delta watersheds. It's the first time officials have forced large numbers of holders to draw back on water use. Most of those affected have water rights that were decided more than 100 years ago.
Now, your microclimate forecast presented by Lexus Escondido. Here's meteorologist Matt Balow.
The fog rolling right back in on cue tonight, Matt.
It never really left. You know, it kind of lifted a little bit out there. But didn't see much sunshine just the same. I think the weekend's going to start out that way anyway, a little bit. And as we head towards the second half of the weekend, you'll have a better chance for some sunshine out there and some slightly warmer weather, too. So if this little bit of the gloom that we have out there is getting you down, you should have some better conditions here as we head through the next 48 hours. These are pictures from over at UCSD looking off towards the east. And over the course of the day, you can see those clouds actually lowered a little bit right around lunchtime, but they never really left and have been producing a little bit of some patchy drizzle out there, and that's expected to continue to be the case as long as this marine layer is around. And it'll be around at least for the next 36 hours or so. We've had those clouds right along the mountains for most of the day today. They moved back a little bit towards the coastline earlier this afternoon, but as you can see, they still extend several miles off the coast. So that cloud deck out there right now stretching about maybe as much as 8 miles off the coast. Most everybody with some overcast skies. Again, there is some patchy drizzle out there. That's going to stick around through this evening, probably into tomorrow morning as well. There's a live look at the News 8 microclimate Doppler radar. There's a little bit of return activity on there, but not very much of it out there. In fact, it's mostly light drizzle right now, and that's all you should be seeing as we head through the evening hours here into tomorrow morning as well. That gloom, a little bit of it anyway, is helping to keep temperatures a lot cooler than yesterday when we had some breaks in the cloud cover. We're only about a week and a half here from when the sun is the highest in the sky, so it doesn't take a lot of sunshine to really warm things up like we did yesterday. When you don't have that sunshine, it's a lot cooler. And temperatures today running 3 to 5 degrees cooler than it was yesterday at the same time. That's not likely to continue into tomorrow because it can't get much more cloudy than it is outside right now. However, at 5 o'clock, it's mostly in the 60s west of the mountains, a couple of low 70s. You'll recall yesterday at 5, we had some mid-70s out there in a few spots. That's not really the case at the moment, west of the mountains. So where we do have the cloud cover, it's rather cool. Where we have plenty of sunshine in the mountains themselves, it's in the upper 70s there. And of course, it's 104 out in Borrego, so there's plenty of sunshine and heat out towards the East County. Over the next 24 hours, that marine layer, that's going to be sticking around here. So we'll be seeing that as we head towards tomorrow morning once again. Tomorrow afternoon, there'll be some breaks in a few spots. Again, it'll be a mix of sun and clouds at best. For the first half of the weekend, you'll have a better chance for sunshine as we head towards Sunday. Temperatures will be just a little bit warmer as a result. The real warming won't come until next week, maybe Monday or Tuesday, and it'll be around for several days. But look for low 70s heading to the weekend along the coastline, mostly upper 70s along the inland valleys. There may be some low 80s on Sunday, and then next week as it gets a little bit warmer out there, we'll be seeing temperatures a lot warmer than normal off the coast, 10 to 15 degrees. So if you're looking for that sunshine and the heat, it is on the way. Just kind of hang on for a couple of days here.
A lot of it, too, it sounds like.
Could be.
Thanks, Matt.
Well, still ahead tonight on CBS News 8 at 5, this week's Vintage Himmel.
It's a look back to when Larry celebrated his 50th birthday. Plus the controversy tonight surrounding the woman who heads the Spokane, Washington chapter of the NAACP, and her racial identity.
I signed up for a basketball lesson, and look who I got. NBA legend, Alton Lister. That story's coming up on CBS News 8.
But first, stocks closed down over fears that Greece could default on its debts.
Here are today's closing numbers from Wall Street.
The latest fitness trend is not for people afraid of heights. Several gyms are now offering aerial fitness classes. It's a combination of dance and strength training, all while hanging in the air on long strings of fabric.
It takes you back to a childhood time where you're exploring, you're swinging, you feel weightless a lot of the times, and that's something adults don't get to do very much.
Participants say the aerial fitness classes are a great workout for the core, allowing them to strengthen the stomach and back muscles. Reminds me of Cirque du Soleil.
That's a challenge.
Yeah.
No net.
I bet it's a good workout, though. Speaking of sports, training, a website called CoachUp.com wants to connect your child with a coach to improve their skills at whatever sport they love.
So what better kid to give it a go than our own Jeff Zevely, who grew up dreaming that he would someday play in the NBA.
Sitting in a cubicle day after day, you start to feel like life is passing you by. Like your skills are getting rusty. Which is why I'm looking into CoachUp.com. You pick any sport, they have a coach for you. 13,000 coaches nationwide makes me wonder what a young Jeff Zevely would have been like on the basketball court with a little bit of coaching. Here in San Diego, they're offering up Alton Lister. Alton Lister, 17 years in the NBA, a first-round draft pick, and a 7-footer who took on the likes of Charles Barkley, Robert Parrish, and Bill Walton. I just booked a session with Alton Lister. He's a guy who knows how to go strong to the rack. Hey, Alton. Nice to meet you. After some embarrassing clanks and clunks, Alton Lister had my game straightened out in no time.
Good.
This NBA legend has coached at every level, including 2 years for the Atlanta Hawks, but now focuses on 5th to 9th graders.
Basketball is not something that you can take a pill or something like that. You have to get in the gym and you have to work at it.
How much do you charge per hour?
I charge about $75 per hour.
I think that's a steal for someone who played in the NBA that long.
Well, you know what? I do too. But
the big man in the middle dunked on hundreds of opponents during his career, but may be most famous for being on the wrong end of Shawn Kemp's biggest dunk ever.
And got here, next thing you know, I see knees coming up in my eyes. That's the only thing I could see.
A freight train.
A freight train, and he had brought it all the way back from Louisiana.
That was a sick dunk, though.
That was real sick. But every time I Google my name, that's the only thing I see is the Shawn Kemp dunk. So I'm trying to find a way to get all of that off. It's been long enough.
As for my one-on-one lesson.
Good, good, good. Way to stay low.
Alton dribbled my cubicle blues away and made me feel like I could fly again. I'm going to try to do something I haven't done in 20 years. I'm going to try to dunk.
Oh, boy.
What's your advice?
Just jump really, really high.
High.
Just go for it.
All right, here we go.
Here we go. Come on. You got it.
Oh! Yeah! Greatest coach in the world, Alton Lister. Back to you in the studio. Give it up!
I'm sure he's a great coach. Look at Jeff trying to pretend that's the first time he's dunked, though. Come on, Jeff. We know about you and your athletic skills. If you'd like to learn more about CoachUp.com or book a one-on-one session with Alton Lister, click on the hot button at CBS8.com. You predicted that. You said Jeff could dunk.
He's my age and he can still dunk.
Yeah.
I'm just bitterly jealous he could still do it. I'm lucky if I touch the net now.
Oh, the boy's got game.
Yeah, absolutely. When we come back, much more on the arrest of a Scripps Ranch murder suspect, Jeremy Green.
Including an in-depth look at whether or not Green could be facing the death penalty.
A big defeat for President Obama as Democrats vote against a key portion of his trade legislation. I'm Craig Boswell with more on a dramatic day on Capitol Hill.
You're watching San Diego's breaking news leader. This is CBS News 8 at 5.
And welcome back. I'm Barbara Lee Edwards.
I'm Carlo Cicchetto. A man accused of shooting his wife to death in Scripps Ranch last weekend was arrested early this morning following an international manhunt.
This is exclusive video of Jeremy Green turning himself in at the San Ysidro border crossing around 1 o'clock this morning. Investigators tracked him down in Cancun and had been in contact with him for several days before he flew to Tijuana and surrendered.
He wanted to surrender. He was just wanted to do it on his terms and surrender to U.S. authorities.
Green was booked into the downtown jail on a first-degree murder charge, and he's being held without bail. An arraignment is scheduled for Monday.
Mexico will not extradite prisoners to the United States if they face the death penalty. So the big question for many regarding Jeremy Green's return is, did prosecutors have to take the death penalty off the table to get Green back in San Diego? This afternoon, I sat down with former San Diego District Attorney Paul Finks to clear up the death penalty extradition issue. Is this a death penalty case?
This is a first-degree murder case without a special circumstance that would make it death eligible. Basically, he faces 50 to life because of the use of a gun, but it is not a death penalty case. Now, what happens if you're an American prosecutor and you have a death penalty eligible defendant in Mexico? Your choice is to say, I'm not going to strike death, in which case he's not coming back. Or I'm going to strike death, in which case Mexico will send him back. Now, given the number of people who are actually killed by the death penalty in the state of California, which is 0, and how long it takes, I felt when I was district attorney it would be unwise to hold out for a death penalty when in California no one gets it.
The accounts we're getting are that San Diego police made contact with him. They discovered him in Cancun somehow. We don't know exactly how they made that contact, but they depict a situation where he voluntarily got on a plane in Cancun, flew to Tijuana, and then crossed the border. Have you experienced that kind of thing in such a high-profile case?
You know, it's sort of funny when someone says that a defendant returned voluntarily from Mexico, because what Mexicans may consider voluntary, Americans may not consider voluntary. Sometimes it's voluntary or else, and they come back. Other times, people are convinced to come back because they know they have no place to go. They're going to be in custody, and a lot of people do not want to spend the rest of their years in a Mexican prison rather than coming back to the United States.
Pfingst is not representing Green, but expects defense attorneys to argue the killing was manslaughter, not first-degree murder. Police say Green returned to the United States voluntarily, and no promises were made regarding the death penalty.
Today, the House delivered a stinging blow to President Obama. At the last minute, Congress derailed his fast-track trade bill and left its future in serious doubt. As Craig Boswell reports tonight, even members of his own party turned against the president's plan.
The motion is not adopted.
The House, backed by the Democratic minority, delivered a major defeat to President Obama, rejecting an aid bill tied to his fast-track trade legislation.
This TAA fails to restore coverage to thousands whose jobs may be exported.
The TAA, or Trade Adjustment Assistance, provides economic help to workers who lose their jobs because of trade deals. At the last minute, the president lost the support of the House Democratic leader.
I will be voting today to slow down the fast track to get a better deal for the American people.
The motion is adopted.
The trade bill itself passed in a second vote, but will not go forward without the aid bill. The fast-track bill would allow the president to make trade agreements with 11 other nations, which Congress could ratify or reject, but not change. Many House Republicans supported the president.
And understand a lot of our members, especially on our side of the aisle, they don't trust this administration. Join the club, neither do I. That is precisely why I support this bill.
After the votes, House Speaker John Boehner called for members to reconsider and vote again on the portion that failed. That could take place early next week.
Making sure that workers have access to trade adjustment assistance is a top priority of the president's.
The Senate has already passed its version and will need House approval of the entire bill before it can be sent to the president. Craig Boswell, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
The White House dismissed the vote as a, quote, procedural snafu and vowed to salvage the trade legislation when the House votes again next week.
Let's take a look at traffic. Deb Hankey has the very latest on this Friday. Deb?
It is a Friday, Carlo. Absolutely can tell that by looking out there on the freeways, especially along the North County coast. We're going to start off, though, looking toward downtown, I-5 and Laurel. And the traffic there actually in pretty good shape. North and southbound moving along nicely. But as we go to our maps, you'll see all this red on the northbound 5. It starts at the merge and slow traffic taking you all the way up to Carlsbad. A lot of traffic southbound on the 5 as well. Been busy all afternoon. A lot of kids out of school now, and obviously people hitting the road to start vacations. From Orange County off and on all the way to Encinitas, the traffic is very busy. 15, a good way to get around North County. That is in great shape. Looking further south, we had an accident earlier, South 805 near University, getting that cleared off to the shoulder, but still some very heavy traffic there on the 805, and a wreck clearing in the center divide of the South 15 right around the 52. Barbara Lee and Carlo, back over to you.
All right, Deb, thanks. An NAACP president in Spokane, Washington, is facing allegations that she falsely represented herself as black.
The woman's parents say she's white and has been misrepresenting herself to people for 10 years. Jeff Humphrey has details about the wild story.
As president of the Spokane NAACP, Rachel Dojal has become the new face of the area's civil rights movement. According to Dojal, striving for equality has made her a target for numerous hate crimes.
It's highly frustrating. It's been a stretch of years, and certainly no small amount of stress for my kids as well as myself.
Dojal says she's been victimized more than a dozen times in both Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, including the appearances of nooses around her homes, yet police have made no arrests.
There's been no conclusion in any of these incidents that have resulted in a suspect.
And now it's Dojal herself who's under scrutiny. In numerous postings and public appearances, Dojal has represented herself as African American, including this application for a position on the Police Ombudsman Commission.
Is that your dad?
Yeah, that's my dad.
Dojal also made claims on the NAACP Facebook page that this man is her father.
This man right here is your father? Right there?
Do you have a question about that?
In reality, this man, Larry Dojal, is Rachel's father, and this is her mother, Ruth Ann. This birth certificate from Lincoln County, Montana, proves it.
What is your daughter's ethnicity?
Our daughter is primarily German and Czech, and of European descent.
So she's white.
Caucasian. She's white. Mm-hmm.
Wondering if your dad really is an African-American man.
That's a very... I don't know what you're implying.
The implication is Dojal has taken steps to misrepresent her ethnic background. These are photographs of Dojal when she was a teenager.
Are you African American?
I don't understand the question of, I did tell you that yes, that's my dad, and he was unable to come in January.
Are your parents, are they white?
And that's when Dojal walked away from our interview in such a hurry she left her purse and car keys behind. Our photographer dutifully returned them as Dojal hid inside this clothing store.
Dojal's parents say they're supportive of their daughter's work advocating for civil rights, but would prefer if she wasn't deceptive about her racial background.
George Clooney's latest film is turning out to be a flop at the box office.
According to The Hollywood Reporter, Tomorrowland is on track to be Disney's worst performing summer release in 2 years. Its poor performance is set to lose the studio up to $140 million. The sci-fi adventure had a production and marketing budget of at least $330 million. Wow.
Kevin Costner's off the hook a little bit then.
Well, Waterworld was just bad.
But not the people behind Ishtar.
They're never yet. Dustin Hoffman, really? Warren? We're getting a first look tonight at the capabilities of Boeing's latest jet.
Pilots in Washington put the new Boeing 787 Dreamliner to the test, practicing an almost vertical takeoff. The pilots will attempt to perform the same stunt next week at the 2015 Paris Air Show, which kicks off on Monday.
Wait, we got to wait for it. We got to see it. We're going to see it? We got to see it.
There, that is cool. Look at that.
I don't know if I'd want to be a passenger on that. Wow. Oh my gosh. Could you imagine?
Might be kind of fun.
Please fasten your seatbelts. Put up your trays.
At least. Stay tuned for this week's Vintage Himmel coming up next.
A look back to when Larry turned 50 and started losing his hair.
And a little more sunshine is on the way as we head towards the weekend. I'll let you know all about it with your 8-day microclimate forecast update.
Tomorrow is Larry's birthday. He would have been 69.
Tonight we're going to show you the story he did when he turned 50 and he realized his hairline wasn't what it used to be. Here's tonight's Vintage Himmel.
It falls out, it falls out, it falls out.
Try to stay calm, it won't grow on your palms, Rogaine. If you feel like a geek with a widow's peak, Rogaine. If the truth be told, you're only getting old, Rogaine. It falls out, it falls out, it falls out, Rogaine. It falls out, it falls out, it falls out, Rogaine.
Now, your microclimate forecast presented by Alexis Escondido. Here's meteorologist Matt Balow.
I'd say a little cloud cover as we head on into the weekend, but it's getting to be a lot of cloud cover and fog out there too, Matt.
Really, it might just be one cloud.
One massive cloud.
Exactly.
Okay, there you
just
go.
this huge thing that spreads for 8 miles off the coastline that's not really providing a lot of sunshine out there, at least for today. But we will be seeing more of that as we head towards the weekend. This cloud cover that is out there right now is keeping temperatures a little cooler than normal. That's a live picture from our News 8 Skycam. It's 67 right now with a west wind at 6 miles an hour. The relative humidity is 73%. The barometer steady right now. It reached 29.84. Visibility, even with this cloud cover, is not bad. It's 10-mile visibility pretty much everywhere. So it's not cloud cover that's sitting on the ground. It's actually up a little bit out there and giving us some nice visibility, but it's also producing a little bit of drizzle, and you'll have that overnight tonight. So by tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock, once again, that should be the peak drizzle of the day. A little clearing in the afternoon, then once again tomorrow night, we'll see those clouds redeveloping. Sunday, less of that marine layer on the way. It won't completely clear out because our winds will still be onshore for the next 48 hours. We're not looking for any sort of offshore flow or Santa Ana winds or anything to clear out this cloud cover and move it along. So right now, those winds will continue to be out of the west during the daytime, and that will help to keep that marine layer in place and give us at least a mostly cloudy day tomorrow, maybe a little more sunshine on the way coming up on Sunday. But temperatures will stay pretty close to where they should be for this time of year, maybe a few degrees cooler than normal, low 70s at the beach. Inland, look for some upper 70s tomorrow. A little more sunshine. It's going to go a long ways for the second half of the weekend inland, so look for some low 80s at that point. Next week, much warmer weather is on the way, pretty much most of next week too. Out in the East County, it'll be mainly in the 80s tomorrow up in the mountains. Otherwise, look for some triple-digit readings out in the desert. Even that will be cooler than next week when it'll be above 110 for the most part. So there's a little early summer weather on the way, a little bit early, about 4 or 5 days from now. You can always get the latest 8-day microclimate forecast for your neighborhood, as well as my latest weather updates on twitter.com, just by clicking on our website there at cbs8.com/weather. And for anybody that's been in a plane that's flown out of San Diego's airport and seen this marine layer from a few thousand feet overhead, it does look like one cloud, like frosting on a cake. But it's pretty significant as far as keeping that sunshine out for now.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt. The pairings for the U.S. Open Championship were announced today. John's in for Kyle to give you a preview of next week's golf tournament.
Plus, professional skateboarders will be showing off some tricks at a local charity event this weekend. John will tell you where you can catch all the action next.
Now, CBS News 8 Sports, presented by Ram Trucks. Here's John Howard.
Padres back home after a decent length of roadie. That's a tough one.
It was a 7-game road trip. They went 4-3, but against 2 losing teams with losing records. I wanted to see them go 5-2, or 6-1, but it didn't happen. The Dodgers and Padres open their series tonight at Petco Park. Josemir Despaigne and Clayton Kershaw on the mound. A sidebar note: in 9 games against the Dodgers so far this season, Matt Kemp has hit .365, so perhaps we'll see more of the same out of him. But maybe of greater interest is the return of Will Myers. Myers came back to the team yesterday after more than a month on the disabled list with a bad wrist. Despite going 0 for yesterday against the Braves, he was one of the team's most productive players during the first several weeks of the season. Myers says he is glad to be back.
It's good. You know, it's been, I think it was like a month that I was out, so I was about to go crazy not being able to play, but it's good to be able to finally get back out there and be back home.
He's healthy, the wrist feels good, and that's the most important thing. Yeah. He feels good about that, which is priority number 1, and he's really excited to be back in the lineup.
We'll see how they do. Lots of talk today about LeBron James cutting his head in Game 4 of the NBA Finals last night. The gash would eventually require stitches, although James did stay in the game after the play to shoot his free throws. Had he not taken the free throws, he couldn't have come back in the game. He seemed no worse for the wear, hooking up with Matthew Dellavedova on the alley-oop here in the third quarter. It's a three-point game at that point, but Golden State would come away the winner. Andre Iguodala had a season-high 22 points in the game as the Warriors win to tie the series at 2 games each. Game 5 is on Sunday. In golf, pairings for the U.S. Open have been released, and some of the notables include Phil Mickelson playing with Bubba Watson and Angel Cabrera. Tiger Woods will play with Ricky Fowler and Louis Oosthuizen, and San Diego State's Gun Yang will play with world #1 Rory McIlroy. Yang is the defending U.S. amateur champion. Today, in the final warm-up tournament before the U.S. Open, Phil Mickelson couldn't quite get things going here. A bad tee shot at 15. He is at 3 under for the tournament, 6 shots back of the leader, so still in contention with 2 rounds to play. Ryan Palmer came into the day tied for first. He would slip a bit, shooting 71. He's now 4 shots back. Here's the leader for the second day in a row, Brooks Koepka, who had a nice bunker shot at the 10th. He is at 9 under with 1-shot lead over Austin Cook. Back here in San Diego, Tony Hawk, Andy McDonald, and others will be riding in Claremont tomorrow to raise funds for a good cause. The day will feature vert ramp, bowl, and street sessions, as well as a BMX competition. Bands will include JFA, Evie Kane, and the Frigidaires. Open to the public, a $10 donation gets you in and supports Grind for Life, a foundation started by 2-time cancer survivor Mike Rogers.
What we do is we raise money to help people who are traveling out of state for cancer treatment, and then we also educate and inspire people about cancer survival and recovery with my story. And then we also raise money to fix up the skate park each year, to add a new obstacle, fix some repairs, get some new skate light, and make sure the park's well maintained for all the skaters there.
Okay. Rogers has a big heart, and other skaters have tried doing tricks with a patch on.
Right.
Drives them crazy. They don't know how Rogers has the ability to ride the way he does, missing one eye.
It's amazing.
It is.
Depth perception to be able to adjust.
Yeah.
Wow.
I challenge skaters to try it.
No, I challenge them not to. Let's just not. They don't need another one.
Yeah, they'd be splattered all over the place.
Thanks, John. We'll wrap up CBS News 8 next.
Coming up, a computer attack linked to China has stolen secrets of members of the CIA, military, and FBI. Plus, the president's fast-track trade bill is defeated by Congress. Inside today's vote. Coming up on the CBS Evening News with Scott Pelley.
Breaking news right now, firefighters are in defensive mode, pouring water onto flames from outside a burning 2-story commercial building in the unincorporated Bassett area near the City of Industry.
This is up in the LA area. There are about 80 firefighters on the scene right now tackling this blaze. It is a 2-alarm fire. We don't have much more information on it right now, but we will continue to follow this and bring you the latest on CBS News 8 at 6:30.
In straight defensive mode, they're not able to get into the building, obviously, at that point. We'll be back in about a half hour.